What's up, guys? I am Matt Loon. I'm on the 6th Sense Pro staff, and today I want to talk to you about one of my favorite ways to fish the 6th Sense Hogwalla. There's a lot of different ways you can fish it, but today I want to talk about the Carolina rig. The Carolina rig is one of my favorite ways to fish the Hogwalla, and I'm going to go into my setup, how I rig everything. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is rod choice for the Carolina rig. You want to go with a long rod, and you want to go with one that's a heavy action that has a fast tip on it. The rod that I choose is the 7.4 heavy action unicorn rod. The unicorn rods are super light and super sensitive, but basically anything in the 6th Sense lineup of rods that has that little bit longer length to it with that heavy action and that fast tip is going to be a go-to rod for you to use to throw the Carolina rig on. So the next thing I want to talk about is reel choice. Now, what brand of reel isn't really what's important, but you want to go with the reel that has a little bit higher of a gear ratio. This is a 7:3 to 1 gear ratio reel right here. You could go to a higher gear ratio if you wanted to, but you want to stay away from those slower gear ratios because a lot of times you have a lot of line out there in the water and you're going to get bit and you're going to need to pick up that line super fast, and having a higher gear ratio reel is going to allow you to do that, and then you're going to be able to pick up that line, get that hook set into the fish, and then you're going to be able to get them out of cover because a lot of time fishing the Carolina rig, you're in a lot of thick cover around rocks and stuff like that, so you're going to want that higher gear ratio in order to get that fish out of cover, pick up that line, and to get those good hook sets into them. Guys, when it comes to the main line, your main line is the line that's coming off of your reel itself. I go with 15-pound test. I'm out in California and I fish a lot of clear water, and that 15-pound test does the job in most situations. Now, in other parts of the country, I know you guys are going to go up to 20, 25-pound test main line, and that's fine. But for my clear water, I use that 15-pound test. Now, when it comes to your leader line, I go with monofilament line. This is 12-pound test mono. The reason I go with the mono is because mono doesn't sink. It floats, so it's going to slow down the fall in the water of this Hogwalla. And I like that because if I have the fluorocarbon sinks, so it's going to fall faster. So in order to slow that fall rate down, I choose that mono. I think it does make a difference. Now, if you only have fluoro, it's not going to be the end of the world, but if you have that mono, I really like going with that mono because it does slow down the sink of that Hogwalla. So I fish a lot of clear water, so I go with a lot of your green pumpkins and your watermelons. Pretty much the two staple colors that I have in my boat at all times is going to be your watermelons and your green pumpkins. Now, if you have a little bit dirtier water, the Nirvana color is really good where it has that green pumpkin side and the black side. You know, black and blue, your plums and stuff like that are going to be really good for your stained water situations and your dirty water situations. Now, some other terminal tackle that we need to talk about is the swivel. This is how I got it rigged up today. This is a 6th Sense swivel, and then I also have the pitch black tungsten weight. This is a 3/4 ounce weight. 99% of the time I go with a 1 ounce weight, but today the 1 ounce just felt like it was a little bit heavy. It was starting to get hung up a little bit more than I like, so I downsized it, and I think it made a difference. Now, the other two things I have on this are a red bead and the brass clacker. All that stuff does is makes a little bit of noise, and I think it attracts some fish. Now, if you don't want to mess with all these different things, 6th Sense does have the Carolina rig pre-rigs, which is basically all of this stuff in its own complete package. So basically, you're going to be tying the main line to one end of the pre-rig, and then you're going to be tying the leader line to the other end of the pre-rig.
There we go. There we go. Carolina rigging the Hogwalla. Stay on, fish. Stay on there. Stay on. Oh, it's a good one. Little chunky guy. Stay on, fish. It's fighting good. Fighting good. There we go. There we go. Not a giant, but we'll definitely take that guy. Definitely take that guy right there. Not bad. Just dragging this thing right along the rocks in like 15 foot of water or so, and just came up, smashed that thing, and hopefully we can do it again. 4/0 jugular hook on here, watermelon candy, Hogwalla 3/4 ounce pitchback black tungsten weight, 6 ounce swivel. Can't beat it. It's gonna catch you some fish.
Now, when it comes to fishing the Carolina rig, I'm targeting offshore structure, whether it's a rock pile, a clay hard spot, a brush pile. Doesn't really matter what it is. The whole process is basically the same. I like to find that with my electronics, and then I'm going to make long casts to that structure. Now, if I cast beyond the structure, I'm going to work the Carolina rig fast until I come in contact with that structure, and then I'm just going to slowly drag it through that structure, feeling every branch, every rock, every bit of bottom contour that I can. Now, that's going to help you feel the difference between a bite and the structure, and it's going to help you be very, very thorough. It's going to help you get extra bites by moving that bait slowly through that target area. Now, when it comes to actually getting a bite with the Carolina rig, there's a tons of different ways that the fish bite it. Sometimes they rip the rod out of your hands. Sometimes they give you that traditional peck worm bite. Other times you don't feel anything. So you just have to be very in tune with what you're doing with the Carolina rig, put a lot of focus into it, and when you feel that bite or you feel that mushiness, you feel that heaviness, you're gonna load up and really lay into them, because a lot of times you have a lot of line out in the water, you have that heavy weight keeping everything snug to the bottom, so you might have a little bit of a bow in your line as it's going into the water. And then with me, I have that monofilament leader line, so it's going to give you a little bit of stretch. So you really got to lay into them, and you really got to give a firm hook set, and that's where that heavy action rod really comes into play, because it's going to help you drive that hook into that fish's mouth.
There we go. There's another one on the Hogwalla. Didn't even feel like I bite. Decent fish. Decent fish. That one just got heavy and mushy. Can't tell if it's big or not. It's pulling drag good, or it's pulling hard. I think I got the drag set a little too tight, so I had to open that spool up a little bit. When you're fishing the Carolina rig, you just never know how much, oh, there we go. Not a giant, but a decent one for sure. Another one on the Hogwalla. Gotta love that. Look at that hook set. Perfect, right in the side of the mouth. That guy wasn't going anywhere. You just gotta be careful sometimes when you're fishing the Carolina rig, because your line can get super frayed from being around all the rocks and all that cover down there. You got that heavy weight, everything banging on that knot sometimes if this is how you have it set up. But this is what you can catch on the Carolina rig. You can catch giants on it. You can catch giants on that Hogwalla. Great combo. Can't beat it. It's been fun.
So over the years, I've caught tons of fish on the Carolina rig. I think it's definitely a setup that if you guys don't know already, you need to add to your arsenal, whether you're on the bank or in a boat. For you bank guys, think about it. You have that heavy weight on the Carolina rig. You're gonna be able to bomb cast this thing further than most of your other baits, and it's gonna get down to structure that you're not typically targeting from the bank. Guys, to close out, I really hope this video was beneficial to you. I hope you learned something. Go out, get some of those sinkers, get some of those swivels, get some of those Carolina pre-rigs if you want, get some of those hooks, get some Hogwallas, and get out there and start throwing the Carolina rig. Apply the information that we talked about in this video, and I guarantee you, you're gonna go out there and you're gonna catch more fish.